Welcome everyone to the second part of this painting of this portrait. For those who have been here in the previous live, it happened on Tuesday, this will look a little bit familiar, right? We have the different references here and where we left off last time with the sketch. For those who are new here, effectively, as I said last time, it's a set of references for inspiration, also together with the main reference we are using to set up our portrait. And here's where we are. And what we are going to do today is actually paint this time. So we are done with sketching and we're gonna now start putting local colors and shadows and light to make it look much more 3D at this moment. So welcome again. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me well. Hi Amy, hi Katerina. Thanks for joining. Of course, let me know in the chat if you can hear me well or you have any problems with the sound. I think my microphone is a little bit too far. Maybe that would be better like that. And then if we are okay with the sound, then I can start painting away. All right, cool. So I'm gonna explain as much as possible. Hey, hi Violet. I'm gonna try to explain as much as possible what I'm doing and how I'm thinking in terms of painting. And if you have any questions, of course, like last time, just put it in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them all. So effectively, what I'm going to do is get inspired also from colors. So I added a couple of references of leaves here, of pumpkin leaves and pumpkins. And based on all this, I will try to follow a similar pattern for the portrait. And at the same time also use the reference that we have here on the left to do some light and shadows. I want to try out, and this is a good exercise for you, for everybody that wants to get better at colors. Try to put some colors down as a starting point, right? And then check with your reference if you're close enough or you need to change them. Let me just quickly try to do a kind of a selection outside the portrait, right? It doesn't have to be effectively I think this is not working. It doesn't have to be effectively that precise because we're gonna do changes on it. It's just to catch most of the area here and try to put some colors on it. And let's see if I have to. And just fill it with the color that I chose. And let's see where we are in terms of local colors. If we assume that this is here starting skin color, right? We're just gonna quickly check if we are close to this color based on the reference. And if we see here on this area, right, this is light and this is somehow dark. So effectively, the color we are looking for to start is somewhere in between, like a mid-tone color. So if I go in here and do this, I'm almost there. So I think we are good enough to start from here, and I'll treat this as a base and then just go and put some greens based on the leaves that I see, right? And also some really bold oranges for the pumpkin. So let's, if I see like this leaf here is more like a bluish green, right? Kind like this, maybe a little bit more like that. And this is where I would start filling the leaves, right? Here. I'm just using now a very, very opaque brush, and we'll do some color variation a little bit later to try to play around with the local colors. And as I go through the coloring process, I will just also do some corrections where I miss some lines or I miss some contour, right? And usually this is how I do coloring at the early stages. All right, and go back to this color. And let's do this leaves also. And let's see after this how close we are to the leaf of the picture. Here is less important to be very, very close, because effectively leaves have, like, depending on the color and the daytime, right, they change all the time from bluish green to yellowish green. So let me also correct these areas here. Just add a little bit here. Okay. Oops. And effectively, I'm using the underline layer here on the right, as a mask. So if I am painting anywhere green here, like, it doesn't go away from this area, right? So I'm staying within the borders of this area. All right, let's see now if this color here, right, is close to this color, which is somewhere in the middle of this. I think it's okay. It's much more blue, so maybe we'll just push it a little bit to the blue, right? So just push it a little bit more to the blue, and then try to and then maybe I will just leave this more to the green, because this yellow and blue are almost opposite to each other, right? So I don't want to create such kind of contrast here, which is not really important. The whole idea is that the biggest contrast should be around this area, right? Here. This is where most of the people I want to look. So I'll just leave this closer to green, which is closer to this color, right, in the wheel. Like, if I pick this color and pick this color, they're fairly closer, but this one is like fairly opposite. So I can just even push this a little bit further to appear more contrasting with each other. And the more contrast we have in different areas, then the more we tend to look there. And with a pumpkin, I will do some kind of in the middle color just to have some kind of sorry, in the pumpkin root. I'll do some in the middle color to have some analogous variation, right? Have colors around the wheel here, like going from orange to green blue, right? This kind of side. And let's throw also the pumpkin color. So that should be somewhere around here, maybe, or maybe a little bit more here, but much more saturated. Based on what I see from these pumpkins here, for example, this one, right? It's a little bit, but this is also yellow, so depends on the pumpkin. I'm just going with something in the middle, and let's see how that works. All right, and based on all the stuff now, I think what we could do is do some kind of color variation. And first of all, try to do some variation on the face, right? So usually what I do with the face is if I follow kind of the different areas and zone of the face where you could see like this area is usually more red. So I'll just do something like that, right? Usually more red. This is where a lot more blood comes into the face. And then it goes a little bit more to the yellow on the top side. And also the ears should be a little bit more red. Oops. And then on this side is a little bit more to the blue. I'll just, usually for women, I'll just go with like something like purple, not really blue, because blue tends to appear like a shaved skin, which it's more it goes better with men usually. Let's put more red here and also on the nose, and then we can put some yellow a little bit on this areas, like the nose, the top of the nose, and a little bit here and here and here in these areas, right? And it may look weird, but what I usually use this is in a multiply mode, and just a little bit of opacity, somewhere around 25, and then this creates kind of this color variation on the face. And I will also choose some areas like the neck and stuff and put some reds there to create similar variation. Maybe here, and maybe what we're doing now is nothing about shadows and light. It's just color variation on the different areas, right, where we think is less or more blood. And then I'll just pick my smudge tool and try to smudge around, so I don't have any areas that really do not blend with each other. But still try to keep the areas not really completely mixed to each other. I'll just also make the effect here a little bit less and then have this around 20. So as you can see now, right, if I pick colors from here, then it will be a little more to the red and here a little bit more to the, or towards the yellow. It creates this kind of different colors on the different areas. And then we can do similar stuff like with the leaves. As you can see in this picture, for example, this is like blue, but if I color pick here, it will be more to the green. So there is also color variation in the leaves. So what we will do is try to apply a little bit of yellow in these areas, right, in these leaves. Let's say I want this leaves here to be a little bit more to the yellow, right, maybe a little bit here, right, or maybe this ones, right, maybe here, maybe here. And maybe I will also try to apply a little bit more red to the pumpkin in some areas, maybe this area, or maybe this area, or maybe this area, and maybe a little bit blue on the root, right? So maybe it could start a little bit more towards the reds here and then go more green at the end. So if I pick here, it's more like this, and here it's more towards the blue. It's not that much, but it just creates a little bit of interest, right? So let's see here, yellow again. Let's make it a little bit more. In these areas. And then maybe a little bit more blue here or here, this side of the leaf. So having done all that, like, let me just switch on and off just for you to see the difference. It's just more flat like this, right? And a little bit of changes like that. And do a quick correction here. Right here. And here I can just color pick and create some kind of fuzziness because we don't know exactly where these leaves are starting. Just want to create this effect of they are just like roots from her head. So the more fuzzy it is, right, the better it appears like they are starting within her head. Right, okay. And here again, delete that. Okay. Then having done all that, we can just flatten out this layer and just create start as a basis for this. I see no questions in the chat, so I'm just continuing on. So let's put some shadows, and what I usually do for shadows and light, right, is I will just also use like the Azaro head as a guide, but also I will look at the reference and see what I see there. And a good let's say tip for that is starting out is if you really zoom out a lot and have a quick look at your reference, right? So if you zoom out a lot, you will be able to see shadows and light areas much clearer than if you're like here and you're kind of forced to see different details. So the whole idea is, and the starting point is like try to avoid details as much as possible and just put down the big areas, right? You see, like this area is like light, this area is like light, right? This area is like shadow, this area is like shadow. So I'm gonna try to, now I'm doing shadows and light on top of my sketch. And I'm just gonna use for shadows, let's say around purple-ish color, maybe around in the middle, not that much of saturation. I don't wanna stuff to start look purpley, right? But I want them to react with the underlying colors. So this is like here, it's a little bit too much, I think. Maybe I will just go a little bit less saturation, and we'll just gonna have a see how it goes. And I'm still using a hard edge brush, right? So I don't wanna go with any kind of this kind of brushes, right? Because I want to establish some shapes first, right? When I have my shapes established, then I can just go and start blending stuff around. All right, so having said that, let's try to put some shadows from far away. And of course, I'm using the reference, but I'm also using knowledge, right? Anatomy knowledge, structure knowledge on putting the shadows here. So if I understand correctly, light comes from here, right? That means this, if I see this is a kind of a cylinder here, whole her whole arm, then this should be close to the terminator point of the shadow. And here is like a drop shadow from her face, right? If light comes from here. So I'll just put this all in shadow. And then the rest of the face in shadow. Here the area in shadow. Here chest, here shadow. Shadow here. And then we have a little bit of shadows here. Here this triangle is shadow. And now it may be that it's too much shadow, but we'll just really control that later. So the whole leaf, in my opinion, should be in shadow. And maybe not that much on this side, but at least a lot of shadow. Oops. Then these leaves are in shadow. Shadow. Here this leaf will cast a shadow, this whole pumpkin. Right? So I'll just put shadow in the areas of the cast, right? This would cast here. And then we have form shadow here, form shadows here. This stuff should be in the line. Here should be shadows, shadowy areas, right? The ear should be a lot of stuff in the shadow. This turns a little bit, so it's in the shadow. I'm not really thinking now how much shadow it is. I'm just doing shapes, and then I will try to erase stuff or add more shadows if needed. So this should be a little bit until care of this. Let's just make it like that. And slowly I'm zooming in just to try to get into smaller planes now. So did you guys did anything interesting over the weekend? So we went to the fair, which is like a fair that is happening these days, and there you can go and drink a lot beer, because here beer in Germany is quite drawing and playing games. That's also cool. That's a good weekend. Yeah, we had some fun in the fair. Drank some beer. Yeah, also yeah, Netflix and shows. It's a good choice for relaxing.
Any suggestions maybe for Netflix?
Do you have any suggestions on shows we should watch? Oops. We're looking now for some movies to watch to get into the Halloween spirit. So we were thinking of watching Hocus Pocus from Disney, but if you guys have any other suggestions, then also this shadow right here just creates a kind of shadow from this area, right? So like a cast shadow from the root here of the pumpkin. And I think with the shadows we are kind of done at the moment. Let's go with the light, and then we'll start refining all this stuff. So with the light, I'm gonna pick something towards yellow and try to start again by pushing the light and see where are we. So So what I see is fairly these two areas, right, on her chest and on the face as light areas. And we're gonna have to see now where we're going with the light. Light starts here. I think this whole area is in light. And this is in light. And this area and here, of course, depending on your style, like you can be more graphic, less graphic, like more like harsh shapes, but if you're going for more of a and less stylized portrait, right, then you can go into more smooth shapes, right? Let's zoom a little bit in just to refine the shapes. It's gonna at the moment connect all the stuff just to simplify the shape. Have it like that. I don't want to create so much complexity that we are losing the shape. Let's see it from afar. Let's try to do some shapes here now of light. So I'm thinking with the leaves is I'm thinking like we have this kind of shape, right? Like this kind of shape, for example. And as we go down, this is the structure we have. Right, like this, this. Like a curved structure that starts from here and then curves down there, right? So it's like this side and this side that we have. And that's why I'm putting the more of the light here and then the rest of the light. Oops. And then the same as this. flip it a little bit just to see where are we. Gonna try to refine a little bit the shape. And maybe put some light here, some light here, some light here, definitely a lot of light here, right, and some light here on the edges, here on the edges, here. Oops. All right, one thing I would definitely do is try to play a little bit with the saturation on this. I think it's too much saturated, right? Maybe we can just put less saturation here. And now that I have them both together, I can now reassess the colors of the shadows and so on. Our flag means death is fun. Okay, noted. Let's see. Have to have a look there on what's going on. For the leaves, maybe I think this is like, because if I see this one and this one, oops, so this goes to green and there's like, this is huge difference. I think I will just maybe choose something more on the greeny side for light and just pass through it, right? And a little bit less saturated. And here for this, I think it's also a little bit too much. And a little bit less saturated, a little bit less on this side. And this side. So here also we have a little bit more to the red, right? So we can use this one and a little bit more to the red here. And yeah, I'm planning to do more streams like that in the future. Definitely, especially if you like them, guys. I mean, it all depends on the people that are participating, on the demand for the streams, right? That's the whole idea. Like if I see a lot of people are participating and they like the streams, and if you are also on the broadcast channel on Instagram and you vote for streams, then definitely this will happen. It's more one part is me, right? Of course, in my time and capability to streams, but it also it's like what you guys also like more, right? If you vote for the streams and all the stuff, definitely it will be a much bigger chance for the streams to happen. And maybe let's see the different areas of the shadows. So this is this. So the shadow areas, like I think this is a little bit too much. Or maybe I think they are good. Yeah, I think they are good. And this, but this is a little bit too much, I think. So here, maybe I will just go a little bit like that and just change it a little bit. With less saturation, maybe. so it's not really jumping between colors. And let's see now. One correction I wanted to do here was the nose. Right, the nose should not be coming like that. So now we're going a little bit more into details. And trying to see the smaller planes, where are they changing, right? And what's happening there. So this technique has the advantage that you can still keep keep playing around with the shapes without really considering at first the colors, right? In that sense. And all right, I think we are at the level where we can now start shaping a little bit more. And creating like what is a form shadow, what is a cast shadow, and also the stuff. So what I'm gonna do is just pick the smudge tool and just try to create some form shadows and so on. For example, like here at the chest, I see there's a form shadow, right, going like a smooth transition between light and shadow. Then I will do this, right? So either as much towards the form like that, or vertical towards the form, right? So this is a stronger shadow. I think I will just smudge it less, right? But here I want to smudge it even more, and here even more to create the roundness of the arm. And here also this is a form shadow in this area, right? So I want to create a good transition between the different areas without losing so much the transition effect, right? Which is still here. And here again it's like a form shadow. By moving the size of my brush is becoming smaller, and I just follow the transition, right? In the nose, I'll just create a very, very small transition. Here there's a harsher transition, but I'll just still smudge it a little bit. And here is a lot of transition, right? So I'll just don't want to make it appear that like it's like a cast shadow. Here the same, and so on. So in terms of shadows, here are some transitions. These are all cast shadows, so I don't want to touch them. Here I think we are okay, right? Here are transitions, so I can just smooth them out for these areas and these areas and these areas. And here I don't want them too much smoothness, because it's like the pumpkin root, and in terms of texture is kind of, you know, concrete texture, so you won't find like very, very smooth transitions like in the skin. Let's go now to the lights and do a very similar thing. Wherever we have smoother transitions, I will smudge them and try to create a transition between the colors, right? Like this one. And wherever I have harder transitions, like on the nose, I will just smudge them less. There's a lot of transition here. At the arm, which we barely see any transition terminators, right? Here again, it's transitioning. Here, the transition is a little bit harsher, so I'll just create a little bit of shape. Here's a lot of transition, and again here. So maybe I'll just also kind of connect this to shadows like this one as I see it, and then transition them. Let's connect them, right, and then create this transition here. Okay, I think this one, it's not really transitioning here. It's closer, and these are some transitions. All right, I think it's looking good. Let's also have a look from this side. I think it's looking already a lot of 3D, right? It has shape. I like that. All right. Okay, this arm here should transition better, I think. At least this downside. All right. Okay. Then we are at the point where we can do some corrections on the colors, especially when we are missing something like the eyes and so on. So I want the eyes to be a little bit like more towards the blues, right, and a little bit more different than the rest of the skin. And we're gonna do also a little bit more red on the lips and a little bit more saturation. And also at the same time we are gonna also put some other features like hair, eyebrows, for example. I'm thinking the same color as the leaves, right? This one I don't need it. Do some corrections also. So I think, hi Lucian, hi, welcome to the stream.
I hope so. Do you have better connection today? Because last time the connection was bad.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Hopefully you have a better connection today. So I'm thinking this one, and I'm also thinking these areas here. I will try to blend them a little bit more, so they appear like we have a continuation of the skin and the hair. Maybe I'll just put it like that, right? Okay. Then I think this is, we are done here. And now what I usually do to try to blend the lines faster, I will just try to color the actual line. So I will just pick the shadow color, move it to much more saturated and a little bit towards the red. And I'll just paint the skin like this. I think that's way too... Oops, I think I just deleted it. Okay. I think that's enough, or maybe even higher. Okay. Like this. Looks better. And I'm trying to paint all the line art like that by locking transparency and just painting what is there already, right? Wherever I have skin, I'm using this color, this darker red color. And when I reach the leaves, I will just do like this, the same. And I just do the lips. No, I think that's way too bright. Like that. Do the leaves. Maybe actually a little bit more towards the blue. And it doesn't have to be perfect, as long as, you know, very, very thick lines that are black do not appear to be completely black, right? So they stand out. And eventually we will, anyways, we will draw above them in the end. All right, now we are in a situation that we have all the lines kind of in a different color, and they are blending a little bit more, so we can just group all together, create a copy, and then we merge everything and we start painting on top. Pretty much. So then from this point onwards, we are in the phase of doing details. So it's all about you know, finalizing the shapes, right? Creating small details, painting all the texture and all the stuff. So we just merge everything, and then we go in and try to make details as much as possible. Usually I start with occlusion shadows, right? And then I go further to other details. For example, I see more shadowy areas here. I will just pick something. This is not enough. And this should be like that. So effectively, if I wanna create a darker shadow, what I will do is I'll just pick the color of the shadow, right? Move a little bit towards down, then start painting with opacity, right, more to this color, pretty much. And that means I'm still in the area of the shadows, right? I'm still in the values of the shadows. I'm not just, you know, picking a shadow and then going up towards the area of the light, but I'm creating darker shadows. And this, I want to create some darker shadows here. as here are transitions. Oops. Then here I'm gonna do this, right? This, and I'm gonna create some darker shadows here. As a lot of hair are falling there, maybe a little bit darker. And picking this one and creating darker shadows for this. Nose here. In this area, of course. Even darker. So here is the other plane of the mouth. We're just gonna create a small difference here, and but not too much, right? We don't want to overemphasize these areas pretty much, because the more you emphasize these areas, then the older the person gets, right? The more you emphasize the areas of the difference of this and this, right? Of the cheek and the mouth, the older the person gets, right? So try to remember that, and if you wanna, if you wanna make someone look older, of course, emphasize it more. If you wanna make someone look younger, just try to not emphasize it.
Because of the wrinkles?
Yeah, exactly. Because babies like laugh all the time, but there's no wrinkles here, right? It's and then we have this area here. I wanna push a little bit the shadows here, right? Just to show the clavicle. And I'm just also picking from the different areas, right? So I'm just putting some color down and then pick from the different areas, right? And then just melt it, kind of, right? Blend it with the rest. So I'm usually use two ways to blend colors, right? One is this way, like if you have a circle, then you have let's say color in the middle, right? You have your color in the middle, then you have your darks, right? Let's assume the light comes from the right. Then you have your darks, so this is your dark area, and then this is your lights, right? And this is your middle area. So one way to blend colors is, of course, it's more towards beginning, right? It's easier for beginners. It's also not difficult to control because you don't need to control anything on the smudge tool. Just have the smudge tool and try to smudge stuff around, right? Like, as you can see me doing here is like circling around and then smudging stuff. And this is like a ball. Like there's no bounce light at the moment, but it's like a ball, right? That's one way to do it. The other way to do it, the more painterly way, is instead of having using the smudge tool, you can just pick a hard brush and then start blending the colors by picking the color and then throwing in the middle and then picking the new color, then picking, for example, the light color, applying it, then picking the new applicable color and then just start melting stuff, and by keeping, you know, the different shapes. And this is like the more kind of blending with a painterly style. So I use a combination of both. I use the smudge tool in some areas when I want a much blended, smooth out transition, and some other areas where I want to keep more interest, then I use this kind of painterly style of blending. Then here I see the light is a little bit towards in, right? And then we had also this area. So I'm picking up the color of the light and just moving it around. Right. And then I will pick this color here, push it a little bit more to the saturation, and then just slowly glaze it over to create this effect of the arm is turning around, right? And here the same thing, more saturated, right? And just glaze it over and then just try to blend it a little bit. Then here, like that, glaze it over, saturate it a little bit more. Right, this is the area, and this is the area. Whoops. All right. Okay. Then we have here. Let's move around a little bit the areas, and here we have, of course, darker shadows. Right. And a little bit dark here. Right, and here we have, actually it should be a little bit more to the orange, this area. Right, and we do a transition between the two areas by just making sure we don't completely lose the shapes, right? All right. Okay. Then we have a little bit of occlusion shadows on the lips, right? So we'll just pick the reference, bring it closer so we can see it, and work a little bit on the lips. just creating triangles here, right? And this area should be a little bit darker. A little bit darker here, and then here should be way darker, just to create this occlusion shadow. And by the way, make sure you, when you zoom and do these details, right, then zoom out and still have a look at it before you do too much stuff. Because the problem with doing this kind of detailing, right, it may appear that you have correct values here on the detail level, but when you zoom out, you will see, oh, these are way too strong for values, for example, that I used in this area. Let's work a little bit on the ears. So this is a little bit, based also on the reference, a little bit darker, right, these areas. And here is lighter. Just pick from the light and have it like that. Just make this darker and have the light maybe in this area, and then a little bit in here, and this one, and then have darker here where are the crevices and all this dark. Then a little bit here, and let's go and do the eyes a little bit more, like darker like this one. And you may now be confused and thinking like, why are we doing the eyes darker? Even though they seem to not be darker here. Here though, there is a secondary light, right? There is this green light that comes from the other side. At the moment we're just ignoring that, and based on the knowledge that we know that eyes are inside the cranium, then we're just making them darker, right?
It gives also a spooky vibe.
Spooky, yes.
Spooky vibe.
And this is darker. Maybe let's go a little bit darker here. And I think this area is like darker here. All right. I think for the areas that are supposed to be darker and so on, we have the correct now values. Let's just go on the and try to correct the light, right? This is kind of this next stage where we try to correct the different lights. So we can have a little bit of dark here, I think, because this one is like that. Let's try now to correct the light. So this light definitely needs to be a little bit darker and a little bit more saturated. Coming from above, right, this plane should be more down. And of course this line here should not be that harsh. And this area has most of the light, so I'll just push it up. Lower the saturation and just push the values higher. in order to create this. So these planes here will be just closer to white as these planes here, right? I'm gonna borrow this value a little bit here and just move it towards the eye to show that the eye is turning around like that, like this, like that, right? The whole eye. All right, right, this one, and I'm just blending stuff. All right, here on the nose, higher values, pushing the structure. And this triangle here, I like it. This triangle. Then we have this area. Let's correct it. Push it a little bit higher. Right. Then we have this area which is higher because this plane is looking at us. So I'm just boring a little bit on the light. And then I'm just gonna bring it like this. Right. And this is okay. And also here lips should be the down facing the light should appear lighter, right? But the upper one should appear darker. Okay, then we have, I think this should come higher like this, right? And this one also has a highlight around here, so let's just push a little bit the light more here. Let's create a small shape. This appears way too dark, so I'll just correct it, blend it with the rest. And then we have more light areas here. We're pushing them up just to create the clavicle area. Right. And this area is also much higher. So I'm just making my brush higher and just passing through. And this area. And also this area. And here again higher for this transition. Like a triangle. And here I'm gonna pick a small shadow here just to create this detail. Right. Gonna blend this one. Make it less obtrusive, less And then this one should be higher on the other side. Now when I mean higher, I mean more light, right? Not too much. And just also this should be higher. Maybe just flip it around and see where are we. This area also is quite blended here. Let's just blend it around. And then choose a little bit more light here and try to push it here. And also this has more light. Alright, and then I think I will just blend it a little bit more here, and then here also more light, like a line here, highlight here, and then here a little bit. Alright, this whole area should be lighter. Okay, I think we are doing fine here, and let's go now do some a little bit more reflected light in some areas, like this one, right? This has a lot of reflected light. I'm just pushing a little bit higher and towards the yellows, and I will blend the side, right? And also there is some kind of reflected light here at the end. And here I think I want to make it a little bit darker, right? I think that's enough for the skin light, so let's just go now and grab some more a more texture brush to try to do some light on the leaves. For example, like what I see is like this areas could be lighter, for example, right? From these leaves, and then I can have push the leaves towards this side when I have this kind of areas here that they see the light, like this ones. Like these ones, this whole area here. I don't have to be so much detailed here because, like, you know, leaves and their shapes are kind of always going around in places, right? Like the best case scenario is if you have more loose and random here, the result will be far better, kind of. And then maybe we can have some light here on these areas, picking these areas. Um, then we can also have some shadows here, more to exaggerate the fact that this is kind of the main branch of the leaf, right here in this area, and maybe a little bit of shadow here, right? Maybe. Just trying to do interesting shapes here that they look like leaves pretty much, and just make them appear that they are like natural. Here what we could do is invert it and say, okay, the shadows are going up, right, like this, but we have a reflected light coming from her shoulder up, so we can create some more interesting shapes like that coming from below. Right, not so much here, but here on this leaf should be enough, kind of. And then these areas that are more above, we can have more, a little bit more interesting stuff here, just on the sides, but only on the side above, not in the middle where there's a lot of shadow. Let's just correct this one. Oops. This one we can do a small detail here and then create this kind of effect. And this ones again, just push the stuff and create some interesting shapes, right? Are you also planning to give it a try, guys? And maybe in the future paint your own portraits? Your own characters? Let me try put some a little bit more interest here, maybe like that. So the question is, do you like digital art more than traditional hand-drawn work? To tell you the truth, not really. I don't like digital art more than hand-drawn work. I think there are beautiful pieces from both areas, right? There are artists that are amazing in hand-drawn work, and there are artists that also are very cool in digital art. I started from hand-drawn work, and then I transitioned to digital art. So I'm definitely thinking like there is a lot of potential in both fields. I just think it's a different medium. Are you guys coming from a digital background or or you're transitioning from the digital background to from the traditional background to the digital background. So I'm just trying now to do a little bit of details. And just, make some of the areas here appear, have a more clear indication of what's happening. Just pick from the light areas or from the dark areas, right? And just do some indication of what's happening here. And until we reach the pumpkin.
Amy says, yes, I'm working on a portrait as well. I'm learning a lot from you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I'm glad you're learning a lot. Hopefully, guys, this is helpful for everybody, and shows you a little bit on how to to make this kind of process easier, and then just help you also create your own portraits there.
He says also that I've only worked with graphites. Too, I'm looking to learn digital art now.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's great to. Yeah, effectively, I came from a more traditional background, like pencil drawing and markers. I was using markers also at some point, like Copics and stuff. But going more into the industry and trying to make changes also for clients, it just became far easier to do stuff digitally. So I said, okay, let's just continue digitally. It's also easier with these days having Procreate and so on. It's really easy for people to pick up drawing compared to looking for markers and so on, and buying so many supplies just to start. And maybe let's just, I like to jump around effectively, right? The whole idea is to not stay into one place at the everywhere, but just jump around and attack the whole portrait as a complete piece, pretty much. I think I'm gonna jump a little bit now to the pumpkin and do some more texture here, like from what I see here in this reference, right? Do a little bit of texture. and then have this areas, because we didn't do a lot of detailing here, and looks like kind of unfinished, right? There's no need to do too much stuff here. It's just for it to look like with grain and texture and so on. Just appear that it has areas that have a lot of light and areas that have darkness, so it can look more 3D. Alright, let's have a look how it is. I think it's going really great. Let's do some kind of integration with here, right? Let's also do some highlights here for these leaves. And then go and do some shadow. Alright. Maybe we'll do more highlights a little bit here. Try to push this. This detail. Alright, then maybe here. And here. Okay. I think this one should be darker. And can create some more ones. Like random ones falling here. Right. Okay. And what do we have here? I think what we can do is at this point play a little bit with the colors. Like for example, she has this kind of yellow, orange area, right, with the eyes and so on, and try to do a little bit more color variation. Just gonna grab a brush, the airbrush, and then switch the mode to soft light and try to manipulate a little bit the colors. So I'm gonna create some kind of redness, right, around her cheeks, right, a little bit of blue areas here, a little bit of redness here, and here at this areas, a little bit of blue at these areas here, right, and then let's go back to the reds for the nose. Okay, it's not that much, but it's something. Alright, and then also we could do is we could push a little bit the transitions, for example here in this area, right, or here, or even here, and I think that's all. Let's so I just merged it down, and then I'll continue a little bit on picking up this plane here on the right and just creating a little bit of light.
What tablet are you using? I love how you set the reference all around.
So this is not so this is not about the tablet. The reference all around is from Krita. There's a reference tool in Krita, right? You pick up this symbol here, and then you go to tools, and then you click a plus and you add the reference, or you can just paste it as a reference, right? And then the good thing with Krita is like when you have references here, you can just manipulate them, right? Turn on down the opacity or transform them, like mirroring them vertically and so on. And when you mirror your also your pictures, the references are mirroring with your painting, right? So if I mirror now, everything will mirror together. So I can still continue using this way the reference. So this is pretty cool. I think this is completely only on Krita in the way that it's using the references. And the tablet I'm using is a Wacom 16, not Pro, it's a 16. I think it's fine for what it does. It's very, very good, a very good tablet. So I think it's just fine. Oops. Just creating some highlights here in these areas that they look a lot light. And here I can pick a little bit on the shadow color from this side to create the shadow from this leaf here.
Maybe they can tell us what they're using. If they...
Yeah, yeah, that's a good thing, right? What do you guys use the most? Are you using Procreate, or are you using some other tool to draw? That would be interesting for me. And there is some highlights here. And maybe again with a soft light, I will just push a little bit this area towards orange, as it seems in the reference, right? And also blend this one to a little bit more light, because this is more dark what we have here. And this one is also on highlight, of course, because the sun is coming like this. So we have the highlight here, right? So this is definitely lighter. Effectively. Then I don't know what to do about the eyes. Should we make them yellow orange? Maybe, I don't know. Let's choose the color mode. Let's just try out yellow orange eyes. I think it's working a lot. And I don't know if I wanna do if I wanna do if I want to do eyes or not. That's something I just thinking about now, to tell you the truth. I think that we should definitely do is, there is a small plane here on the eyes, right, where, so let me do some detailing here on the eyes. Definitely this is needed. So this one I want it to be like this, right? This is lighter. And this is darker, pretty much. But this is more like blue-green, I think. Maybe it's from this light, but I like it. So I will just pick up some blue here and just glaze it over it, right? And also use it like this one and glaze it over it here, all right? And then the eyes have two planes here, right? The eyelids have two planes. One plane is darker, of course, right? Which is this down plane that goes down. But there is also a white, a very, very small plane, which is like here, like a line. And here we have the darker plane, right? And I'll just pick something lighter and just glaze it above, just to create this eyelid. All right, so maybe if we let's try to do the, so this is like bluish, just do some better work with the eyebrows, right? And then here let's just use this brush to create the eyebrows, and this one, right. And then I will just make it a little bit darker, the downside. But effectively what I'm doing now is just making a little bit of corrections on the eyebrows and make them look like 3D. There's no need to put too much detail in the eyebrows because they are not really the area where we wanna, you know, put a lot of our details, but at least they should look a little bit 3D, right? And have some, maybe some highlights. This area also has some bounce light from the nose, so we can just use this one and create this bounce light. And then transition it to the nose here. And effectively we can also do some eyebrows, but let me do it in another layer. Sorry, eyelashes, and pick up a color like this one and try to do this eyelashes, right? I won't do it them simplified completely, like a line kind of. You don't want them making them appear like they are actually, you know. So use like a tool to make them also. We just want to make them appear a little bit that they are existing just there. Right, and then on the eyes, returning on the eyes, we'll just do a little bit of shadows here. Oops. Just to create the roundness of the eye. Right, then we go back to this once. And we're just gonna also do the very small line on this one. Okay, then let's see if we're gonna do eyes now. I think that's, maybe we'll just use a blue, a little bit of saturated blue, and see if we're gonna have eyes. I don't know if I like them. Or I'm gonna keep them like that. I'm just still, I'm not feeling it about the eyes. I think this is, what do you think? Eyes or no eyes?
Hmm?
Eyes or no eyes? Eyes, no eyes. I think it looks more like a creature with no eyes. So the difference is, this one is without eyes, and this is with eyes.
Yeah, I like her without eyes. Like this.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with no eyes actually, but I'm gonna have an eyelid shadow, of course, so they look like eyes, right? Like a shadow coming from the eyelids, which we're gonna do just with single multiply layer. right? It's just make it like less like this, and then have here no eyes. I think this is like better. Whoops. And depends on how I wanna push it now. Like it's 5 minutes before 2 hours. I'm thinking of doing some more darker areas here with a little bit of multiply. So usually I want to manipulate some darker areas with a little bit of multiply just to create some different, let's say, levels, right? And let's create some crevices right on the hair.
Joseph says eyes please.
Eyes please. I don't know, I think it looks better without the eyes actually. And then maybe do a little bit of a little bit more darker here areas, and just pick like this shadow. I want to make it more blue, so I will just pick the color of the leaf and just a little bit painting above, right? And then just pick this color and just paint the rest of the shadow, so it makes it more blue. So the problem with the eyes is that it looks less like a nymph kind of. That's the problem I have by putting eyes there. That's my problem. So I'm thinking I'm not going to put eyes actually. Joseph. But I'm gonna have kind of highlights. In the eyeball. And I think here we can just, so I'm thinking now, like a lot of stuff are done, kind of, right? We can have a little bit of like yellowish light coming from here, affecting a little bit this area, right? To make it the whole area appear lighter, pretty much. And have a little bit of light area here, and create some crevices here, right? Like this, with an overlay, just to create some more interest. Right, and also with the multiply layer, create, oops, create some more shadows here, and this one, and then pick this color. Let's make this one appear like that, and choose a little bit more. So effectively now what I'm doing is I'm seeing different areas and different details, right, and just pushing them up and down pretty much, like if they will appear more or less, kind of. And I think there's a lot of detail here, which is cool. Which I like a lot. And this one. Lot of detail here. And maybe we should do a background now, like a very simple background. Something like what is here. Just to have a little bit of area to have. So I usually, what I do with backgrounds, this is like kind of the last steps on illustration, is I'm gonna pick a color, right, usually complementary to what I have. So the main color, right, we have is kind of this, right? Then I will just pick a complementary one, and then I'll just try to do something like this. And maybe this is a little bit too dark. I'll just pick a little bit of lighter here, and then just create a degradation, kind of, right, like and then maybe even lighter, like here, like that. Like this one. And a little bit darker here, in the area, this area, maybe like a vignette kind of, right? I think this looks good. And the final thing we could do is do some highlights on the different areas we want to do, like pick from this one and go very, very high, like in value, and just do some interesting shapes, but not on the same layer, on another layer, so we can just delete stuff if we find them to be too overwhelming. Right, this one, some more highlights. This one, right here, almost white. Like a triangle. And this area seems to need some highlights, almost white. And this transition. And here where the bone is actually turning, almost to white. And of course the nose need some highlights like here, right, this area, and then this area, the lips, highlights on this one, and of course the lips need some highlights, right, highlights. And what we have here is also this area could be darker, right? And the other area and this underneath area would need a highlight, so it appears that it's actually going in. And the same here, there should be a very small bump in this area, and this one should be like that. That's it. And maybe here on the changing on the planes, here this should be a little bit down. All right. What else do we have? Here I think the lines are fine, except this line, which I just wanna make it disappear. I just want the lines from below to be there. Right, just to give the indication of there is something here like a nostril. And pretty much I think that's a lot, right? Maybe some highlights on the pumpkin, maybe some highlights on the leaves here, right? Highlights, kind of looking like a way to bring some stuff up. Right. I think this is good. And maybe this one also should be a little bit more purple, these areas. Indication of the thing, and this one, and I think this one in the eye, it's more like we need a better transition, and just merge it with the highlights. Yeah, still some stuff. Create some areas, and I think we're almost done. I think maybe it needs a half an hour more, or an hour if you wanna, go too much into details and figure out every little, highlight and every little detail out there. But effectively, this is it, right? This is the whole magical portrait. So we started from the reference and the sketch, and we are at this point now where it's something completely new, something we can say is a completely new portrait. So maybe also here I don't wanna, so harsh transition, and yeah, that's it, guys. I think that's the final result, pretty much. You let me know if you have any questions, if you like it. I chose to not do eyes. Maybe I'll just post it on Instagram with eyes and not eyes, and let you know what's you can let me know also what looks the best. I think it's without eyes. It looks more like a creature, in my opinion, which is the intention here. And yeah, that's, I think that we are at a spot that it's like really done. I don't think there's a lot of need to do like a lot of detailing around her arms and the leaves around her arms, just because this is not the, you know, the focus of the portrait, right? The more details should be on the head and the hair. This is where we want to put our focus, so the less can be really without any details. Yeah, I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed this kind of mini series, a two-part way of drawing a completely new kind of magical portrait based on a reference. I hope you found it also helpful. If you have any questions, guys, I'll be still here for a few minutes. And if not, I want to let you go also with your day, and wish you all the best with the rest of your day, whatever you do. Thanks so much, Amy. I'm glad you like it. Thank you also for joining.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, no, I'm just waiting on if there are any questions in the chat, and if not, I'll just we can just close the stream and let the people go on with their day. Thanks so much, Violet. I'm glad you liked it also. Cool. I don't have a nice day to you. I don't see questions in the chat. Then I'll just leave you, everybody, to go on with your day. Thank you so much for joining again. And as usual, I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, maybe, and then post on Instagram the coming days. And of course, see you all there, guys. Thanks for joining. I also hope that we have more streams in the future. Definitely. Thanks everybody for joining, and it was a pleasure chatting with you. And until the next time, see you guys.